Hi, welcome. My name is Justin Giddings. Some people call me the Kickstarter guy. I am a crowdfunding coach, and what I'm about to do is put together 30 videos over the 30 days in September. I think there's only 30 days in September. 30 videos in 30 days that cover all the topics of crowdfunding. I'm going to just get deep dive into all this stuff. Before I get into day one, I want to give you just really quick background so you kind of have some insight on why I have any authority in the space to be talking about crowdfunding. And yeah, that's it. So again, my name is Justin Giddings. I have been an actor my whole life, grew up doing voiceovers and spending all of my money on Star Wars collectible cards. Why did my parents let me do that? But yeah, so I did voiceovers my whole life. Then I went into a conservatory, got a BFA in acting, moved out to LA, acted out there. I describe my career as I get insurance from the union and nobody knows who I am. A couple of big things here and there. In fact, one of them, a couple of years ago, I was on this big web series that then got turned into 2 seasons of a cable show. And when that got canceled, I was really discouraged. I thought I had my foot in the door as an artist, and then it was like nothing again. So I turned to my co-star and I said, dude, what if we wrote something and got behind the camera? I don't know. It sounds like we could do that. And he was like, sure. So we did that, and we came up with these 2 stories, and we were like, well, how are we going to pay for this? So we did a crowdfunding campaign. The first one, I think, was $34,000. Woohoo! I was freaking out on the inside, though, because I knew 6 months from now we were planning, or from then, we were planning on doing another campaign, and this one was going to be $60,000, and I had no idea how the heck I was ever going to do that. So I went to tons of seminars, and I read a bunch of books, and I got kind of amassed this little bit of knowledge, and then we were successful. And so this weird thing happened where people started emailing me saying, hey, I saw you raised all this money, can you help me with my campaign? I heard you're the Kickstarter guy. Interestingly enough, I had raised my money on Indiegogo, but the name was oh, that's some good branding. Let's stick with that. So I launched a company called The Kickstarter Guy. Kind of started out small, coffee sessions with clients, and now I have launched over 145 crowdfunding campaigns, 140 of which were for filmmakers. My clients have raised $5.3 million, and I have a 97% success rate. So weirdly, I'm the number one guy in this crowdfunding for film space. And I've got some groups, and I've got all these resources and stuff that I'm sure I'll throw out there as our time together goes on over these next 30 days. But today, I just kind of wanted to introduce myself. Thank you for being here. And then this is the most important. This whole thing is for you. I currently have any intentions to put links to my crap around, right? So this is for you. So what that means is please, whatever platform you're watching this on, please leave a comment below, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or my new podcast that we'll see if I follow through with. Please leave a comment, leave a message. You can even email me, justin@thekickstarterguy.com. I've got some topics. I've got some ideas lined up. I'm not hurting for content to talk about, but at the end of the day, I'm not doing this for me. I know how to do this. I'm doing this for you so that you can get your questions answered, any concerns that you might have, any fears that you might have. Go deep, go dark with me. Whatever it is, please write it in the comments below or email me if you're listening to the podcast. Obviously a place to write comments, I don't think. And I will get that answered for you. I will come up with an answer that not only is oh, here's an idea I had, an answer that has been tested in the crowdfunding space dozens and dozens of times. So you can feel confident that it's good information that you can run with. So let's get started. The thing I want to start with is mindset. Now, I'm imagining that half of you watching this or listening to this just groaned internally, oh my God, here's another guy who's going to get all peppy and talk about, having a smile on my face and all that kind of stuff. And I get it. I do. I get totally annoyed by those hey videos. I get it. However, it's really true. Everything else I'm going to talk about, there is a path to a successful crowdfunding campaign. Period. I've got a 97% success rate with hundreds of campaigns, dozens, hundreds plus. And they all did kind of in the same world of the same thing. There's a path there. Not just me. There's books, there's articles, there's lots of resources out there that can kind of tell you how to crowdfund. And if you've got some good discernment and good judgment, you're going to the right places, you've got a really high chance of being successful. But the thing that actually breaks my clients, and the thing that I spend the most time coaching on, it isn't do this, and this. That's easy. Sometimes I have questions. I answer them. Boom. It's the mindset stuff. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But if you've ever actually known anybody who's done a marathon, that saying, like, if you take a step back and really think about it, is super appropriate, because you're training for months. And then on the day of the race, you start and you've got energy and you're good. But there are certain mile markers that marathon runners will tell you where, like, the energy just goes out and you've got nothing left inside of you. And that's when they have to dig even deeper and reach even deeper for the strength to carry on and to finish the race. And you are going to go through that if you do crowdfunding. The middle weeks always suck. Nobody cares. There's no urgency. Your friends will tell you directly to your face that they're going to wait until the end of the campaign. And all the strangers and people that you're marketing to are also kind of waiting for momentum and excitement. And there are outliers and there are ways that you can minimize that. But at the end of the day, your first weeks and final weeks are going to be great. And in the middle, you're going to be stressing out. And it's in that time that you got to be thinking ahead and be positive and kind of reinforcing the mindset. Otherwise, you're gonna burn out and you're gonna give up before you're actually at the end of the finish line. So I'm gonna just talk on mindset for a minute or two. I just hope this kind of sits with you and also sort of colors your perception of everything that we're about to go through. That is always gonna come back to your own courage and positivity. Doesn't mean that you can't be freaking out. Right? Doesn't mean that you can't be stressed. You can have negative emotions in this experience, but it's really that mental resiliency that is not only going to get you through the crowdfunding campaign, but hint, hint, this is when my clients send me testimonial videos and they talk about this changing their lives, not getting the money, changing their lives. It comes back to this mental resiliency, this feeling of empowerment. And like I said, talk to any marathon runner, they'll tell you the exact same thing, that when you get to the end of that race, you're a different person than when you started. And that's what I hope for you. So a quote that I think is really helpful, has been helpful for me, is nothing great ever came from being comfortable. Nothing great ever came from being comfortable. Nobody had a great idea or did a great thing or accomplished a great feat lazily, casually. I don't know. Maybe a half dozen people in the history of humanity or something like that. But think about any marker of greatness for you. Sports person, great. Football, basketball, baseball. Arts person, yo-yo ma, right? Like whatever the top of your world is, pick a category. I don't care. That greatness was freaking hard fought and earned. So many backers, people who see campaigns, get annoyed by the sense of entitlement. This is how they describe the sense of entitlement that some campaigns have had, and it's what's turned them off to crowdfunding. And I think that sense of entitlement it's not like they're bad people or something like that. I think most people are well-meaning people trying to do their best, but they're looking for the easiest way to do something. And it just doesn't exist. You can be efficient. My clients are efficient AF. They got clear checklists and all this kind of stuff, but it's still gonna be hard work. May not be a full-time job, may not be some of these like hellish stories that are described. But part of why my system works so well is because what they're doing is worth doing. And so they got to lean into it. They can't back away from it. Another quote that I really, really like is, "Be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid." Be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. I swear, it's weird. It's weird. It's almost woo-woo metaphysical. When my clients are bold in their marketing, and I don't mean like arrogant, okay? I don't mean like blind carbon copy emails or like browbeating people or guilting people, like none of that, okay? We'll talk a lot about that. That's no bueno. But when they believe in what they're doing so much that it creates this sense of boldness and excitement, people rally around that energy. That's who you want to be around, right? I doubt many of you watching this are like the kinds of people that like to hang out with, you know, people who are leaning back in their life, right? And if you are, you probably feel something inside of you that's like, no, this has got to be more. Be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. I swear, if you lean in on this process, the people in your life, strangers you've never even met, and if there's any metaphysical anything, that energy, that whatever, is going to course through you and infuse your process and your efforts and your work. There's also a book that I would recommend. 2 books, actually. One is kind of that woo-woo part of it, and it's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's not everybody's cup of tea. You can get a lot of haters, but I think it's something like one of the top 10 published books of all time. So, like, ignore the haters and just say yes and lean in. And it's a little allegorical parable about finding your inner why. And that's going to be part of what drives your positive mindset, is knowing why you're doing what you're doing every day and believing in it so strongly that it creates this positive energy that people want to be around. Nobody gets funded by making people feel bad. Okay. And if they do, they get to do it once, and it's awful and everybody hates them forever. So I really recommend The Alchemist if you haven't read it. It's, like I said, this wonderful little parable about a young man finding his place in the world and how that drives him. There's also a book called The War of Art. Yeah, not The Art of War. The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Not to be weird, but it's like great bathroom reading. Like each page is a single little chapter snippet, and kind of the thrust of the book is anthropomorphizing resistance and the things that hold us back and how to deal with them and what to say to them and how to engage the negative forces in our lives that want to hold us back. It's really, it's written by a writer, I guess, but I'm pretty sure he's a screenwriter. And it's just like really great little digestible bits of like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And it can be really, really motivational. And this is something that these two books I tell all of my clients to purchase the moment they are onboarded is get these two books, read them. Even if they're not your cup of tea, try to look for the wisdom in them so that you can, again, start working on that mindset. And then finally, like little tips and tricks. If you're somebody who gets on Reddit or if you're somebody who's on Pinterest, like whatever your social media du jour is, find the motivational groups, find the positivity, find the people who are saying yes. I get in so many screenwriting and filmmaker groups on Facebook, and it is a cesspool of cynicism and bitterness and rage and anger and elitism and exclusionism and gatekeeping and misogyny. I mean, it's a toxic place. Try to find the places that aren't toxic and spend your time there and surround yourself with people who believe in the possible and maybe even believe that impossible isn't a real word, and see what that does for you. Just test it, experiment. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not your jam. You don't have to be this gregarious, outgoing, super positive kind of person to be successful in crowdfunding or in life. You got to be you. And whatever that is fine. My brother is a dark, moody dude, and he writes some incredible music and has composed for many films, and he draws on that. But he's somebody who knows who he is, who believes in what he is doing, and at the end of the day has a worldview that is positive leaning. Sure, things might feel rough for me, but the world's getting better. That's what you want to start to cultivate in you, and then figure out how to authentically express, which we'll talk about in future videos. So again, thank you so much for joining me. If you've made it all this way, again, please leave a comment, question, anything that I can address over these next 30 days. But yeah, welcome to 30 days of really intense, deep dive content on not only how to crowdfund your project, film, web series, short, book, album, game, but how to equip yourself and empower yourself with some techniques that allow you to get your narrative out and in front of people. If you can unlock that and wield that power, your career is going to change in a major way. It did for me and my partner. It has for many of my clients. They have found investors. They have found their tribe in doing this process. And that's what I wish for you. That's what I hope for you. And that's why I'm doing this, so that if you're brand new to all this and you're freaking out because everybody talks about how awful it is, you've got 30 videos ahead of you to make it a little less scary and make it more manageable and flatten the terrain a little bit. Okay, cool. Thank you again so much for joining me. Again, Justin Giddings, the Kickstarter Guy, thekickstarterguy.com. You can go to Facebook. I've got a group called Hacking Kickstarter, and I'm going to have a podcast up on iTunes really soon, also called Greenlight Yourself, Creative Crowdfunding for Filmmakers. Thank you so much, and look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Peace.